You are listening to part 21 of the podcast series, How Successful People Think.
Recognize the importance of realistic thinking. When I started my career fresh out of school, I was an idealistic thinker, not a realistic one. Some of my misconceptions were that I could make everyone happy, people like change if it was done properly, the leader taking care of people is enough, good leadership makes tough calls unnecessary. The reality was that there will be conflict among people. People resist change regardless. People must be developed to be effective, and tough calls must always be made. Over the years, misconceptions fell one by one, and in time, I evolved into a more realistic thinker. That process went in phases for me. First, I did not engage in realistic thinking at all. After a while, I realized it was necessary, so I began to engage in it occasionally, but I didn't like it because I thought it was too negative. Eventually, I found that I had to engage in realistic thinking after I got in any kind of trouble, if I was going to solve problems and learn from my mistakes. And in time, I became willing to think realistically before I got in trouble and make it a continual part of my life. Today, I encourage my key leaders to think realistically, and we make realistic thinking the foundation of our business because we derive certainty and security from it. Cultivating the ability to be realistic in your thinking will not undermine your faith in people, nor will it lessen your ability to see and seize opportunities. Instead, it will add value to you in the following ways. Realistic thinking minimizes downside risk. Actions always have consequences. Realistic thinking helps you to determine what those consequences could be. And that's crucial, because only by recognizing and considering the consequences can you plan for them. If you plan for the worst-case scenario, you can minimize the downside risk. Realistic thinking gives you a target and a game plan. I've known business people who were not realistic thinkers. Here's the good news. They were very positive and had a high degree of hope for their business. Here's the bad news. Hope is not a strategy. Realistic thinking leads to excellence in leadership and management because it requires people to define their target and develop a game plan to hit it. When people engage in realistic thinking, they also begin to simplify practices and procedures, which results in better efficiency. Realistic thinking is a catalyst for change. People who rely on hope for their success rarely make change a high priority in their lives. If you only have hope, you imply that achievement and success are out of your hands. It's a matter of luck or chance. Why bother changing? Realistic thinking can dispel that kind of an attitude. There's nothing like staring reality in the face to make a person recognize the need for change. Change alone doesn't bring growth, but you cannot have growth without change.